Hey everybody, how you doing? This is Jason Root. Welcome to the RootHealth Applied Sports Sciences podcast, where we help you implement movement-centered functional health for your performance and longevity. So today we're doing a question answer format today. Answering a few questions from those of you who are either clients or have called in or stuff like that. And so today we are answering from Bill. What is restorative exercise? Now I'm going to actually answer this for two people. I had another client, his name is Sean, and he was asking me about what is functional exercise. And then actually, these are all actually going to be all three kind of meshed together. And I had another client named Jane who was actually asking me the other day what movement qualities are. So I'm actually going to see if I can break these all into one kind of answer. All right. So let's start off with functional exercise. I think that's probably let's start off with movement qualities. Movement qualities are those aspects of your physiology that you're trying to make better in order to accomplish other things. The big three that people tend to think about are cardiovascular, strength, and flexibility. So those are kind of the major three movement qualities that people think about. However, there are many more that kind of combine into making those three. So we have balance, we have core and stabilization strength, or we can call it postural and stabilization. We have reactivity. We have hand-eye coordination. We have eyesight is even one of them. We have different levels of in cardiovascular. We have heart rate return. We have respiratory rate. All of these are movement qualities. They are those smaller qualities that combine into creating those larger aspects of our body's physiology and its ability to develop and perform on or off the field. On the field, in recreation, occupation, or in life. I hope that comes through. I hope that I explained that okay for you. This actually easily branches over into functional exercise or functional training. When people say functional training, what they're really doing is they are differentiating between gym training, which isn't necessarily developing your body for function. So let's take a step back here. When you're training, you are training your body to perform something or to be something. In the bodybuilding paradigm, we are training your body to be bigger and leaner. Those are only two things. That does not necessarily mean that we're teaching it to perform healthier and more optimal towards how it does things, either with respect to activities of daily living, like those things that you're going to do every day, like lifting a box in the garage or taking your Great Dane for a walk, or lifting your 2-year-old. Kids get big and they are not efficient. So when you lift them, that's a very inefficient weight. My wife actually just the other day had a little spring in her back, a little, spasm, from lifting our daughter. Matter of fact, come to think of it, so did I actually the other day. I was lifting our daughter, and she moves a little bit, and she's on a very inefficient angle. We're picking her up, and she moves a bit, and then all of a sudden, you're like, you got a little tweak, and so we need to be able to perform those things without injury. And so the way that we teach our body to perform those tasks is what we refer to as functional training or functional exercise. It really is more of a paradigm than it is a list of exercises or anything like that. It's the mindset that goes into developing the body for those those tasks, utilizing the thought process of movement qualities, saying, well, what from a movement quality standpoint do we need to improve in order to get the better function out of our life? And then within longevity training, we say for a lifetime, not just for today, but for tomorrow, and then the next month, and then the next decade, and then on, on and on and on. And then, so to answer our last question, kind of in one big spectrum, let's answer that last question with respect to restorative exercise. So we're going to open up a whiteboard here for those of you who might be able to see that. And so with restorative training, restorative training is a lot like restoring a house. We want to picture our body's physiology, not the anatomy. Not the anatomy. Bodybuilding is for anatomy. And physiology, it's kind of a crooked line there on our thing. Physiology is structured kind of like this house right here, or maybe even like a car, but we're going to use the house analogy for today. And when we have this house, for those of you who are just listening, then I'm drawing this house right here, and I drew this bottom point. And so this is our foundation. I'm just going to write the letter F for foundation. And this is the journey your body's going to go through in terms of developing. You're going to go from the foundation up to the roof. All right. And so when you're trying to do what we call restorative training, your body has to restore its original physiology, so its original function. Just like, let's say that you have a house and, you have a repair guy come over, a handyman, and the repair guy comes over as a handyman and says, we're just going to get it back up to function. That's kind of what your physical therapist does. They go, well, we're going to fix the eaves, and we're going to fix the door, and we're going to fix the frame, and we're going to, make sure the roof doesn't leak and all that stuff. With restorative training, and this actually comes from spinal cord injury, where we're trying to restore function back to people who have spinal cord injury so that they can get back to being able to move again and to walk again and all that kind of stuff. With that, we're going to say, well, let's look at the foundation first. And we're going to restore that foundational movement in posture and core and in mobility and all that kind of stuff. And then we're going to restore the frame. And we're going to look at all those boards, and where the person in your house, if they're going to restore that house, they're going to come over and they're going to say, hey, you know what? You got some beams here. They don't need to be repaired today, but if we replace them, they're going to last another, 20 years instead of another year or two. And then eventually we're going to get up to the roof, and then we're going to restore that first. But it has to start out with this foundation right here. And so first we have this foundation that we're going to restore, and then we're going to move our way up into the frame, and then we're going to move up to the roof. All right. And then so we have to look at the way the body truly is designed from a functional standpoint in order to see how we're going to approach it in order to get that function back. From a spectrum over here, we're going to look at the PT does repair. Oh, I did not mean to do that. Does repair right here. And then we have the kinesiologist does restoration right here. And then we have this zone that we might call functional training right here. And then we have fitness training right here. And then over towards this end, we are going to have strength and conditioning. And then at the very end, we'll just make sure this line goes a little bit longer. Then we have what we call genetic potential. And those people, we're talking like Michael Phelps, right? So that's our spectrum. When we get down to this end, of here, this is like the roof of the house right here. This fitness, strength and conditioning, and genetic potential. And then functional training is a bit like the frame right here. Making sure that it's sturdy and that your body can do what it's supposed to do. And then restorative training is a little bit like looking at the foundation first and really saying, hey, we need to really redevelop that foundation so our house lasts a very long time. And then the repair, or what like the physical therapists do, is really kind of like a handyman. They're going all over and making sure they repair those parts that really are getting in the way of the daily ability of your body to do anything right now. Right. So it's a little bit, short time frame, whereas fitness is further on down the road, and functional training can really work throughout all of these to make sure that the body is thought of as its ability to be healthy and perform throughout all of those stages. And so hopefully those of you who are listening to this, that made some sense. I'm sorry if I ended up in left field or anything like that, or I've got a little bit choppy, but hopefully that makes sense to you. For those of you who are able to watch it on YouTube, hopefully that made sense, and it really helps you out with how you may approach your body from a restorative and a functional standpoint, rather than jumping ahead to that fitness that fitness zone, and then, getting those recurring injuries and stuff like that happen when you jump too far ahead too quickly. So thank you very much. And thank you for joining the RootHealth Podcast today. I will talk to you soon. If you need to get a hold of me, all my information is in the notes here on YouTube or in Spotify. Thanks a lot.